Good morning. Welcome back. You're still watching Daybreak on this 14th day of April 2025. And it's time for us to have a conversation here in studio about what transpired last week. We want to broaden it and talk about the situation in our schools, especially when it comes to nurturing talent. And also recall that with the CBC, as we transition to senior secondary, also driving towards one of the pathways, which is arts and sports science. We'll be looking at the talent that we have in our institutions to take care of that. But as we do that, in studio I have Senator John Nyutu, who is the Senator of Muranga County. Good morning, Senator. Good morning. Moses Nthurima is the Deputy Secretary General, KUPPET. Good morning.
Good morning, Sammy.
I have Echesa, who is an advocate and an analyst on matters education. Good morning.
Morning, Sam.
A former teacher?
Yes, a former teacher.
Oh, great. Good to see you. And then you have Wilson Sossion, who is a former nominated Member of Parliament and former Secretary General, Kenyan National Union of Teachers. Good morning.
Good morning, Sam.
Great. Those who are calling one of my panelists, please stop. He's now in studio, unless it's an alarm. So in the papers this morning, you'll find that the Standard is going to to Sudan. Gold money deals. Sudan's crisis deepens as Darfur buries over 150,000 of its people. Yet shadowy gold deals thrive amid the chaos. On the front page of the Daily Nation, queries over billions in Swiss banks, and they are saying billions of shillings collected from foreigners traveling to Kenya by President William Ruto's administration was banked in Swiss accounts in a questionable deal reminiscent of the Uhuru Kenyatta government's diversion of Eurobond proceeds to offshore accounts to bypass the consolidated fund. We'll be listening to a voice here of the events with the echoes of war, a conversation that we heard from CS Murkomen and PS Omolo. As soon as we have that, we'll be hearing it to set the stage about the situation that we're witnessing, but also the other main story is about looting spree in the counties, mints overnight millionaires, and another one, audit exposes irregularities in 6.3 billion shilling cover for police, and then theatre legend Mulwa tips playwrights honored at festival. The Kenya National Drama and Film Festival continued in Nakuru County with Karima Girls High School from Nyandarua County presenting an animated play titled Walls of Jericho, a metaphoric piece featuring a cat performance. In the play, Katrina the Bigger Cat builds a Jericho wall to prevent others from accessing her butchery and stealing meat. However, some cats are mysteriously kidnapped under an unwritten societal rule called the Catnapping Project. Now you see them, now you don't. Interesting, a play that you may want to follow. Now, let's listen to what CS Murkomen and PS Omolo had to say about echoes of war.
Some people saying, oh, the government is threatened by what? I mean, we have faced so many other political issues. We have faced more serious security issues as a country to be threatened by a play by young people. The thing is, we are insisting, let the politicians give way and allow our children to criticize us. We have no problem.
Let our children be children. Let our children be taken to school by those who are competent and qualified. Teachers approved by the Teacher Service Commission, not anyone masquerading to try to poison the minds of our children.
What I said then was that this script has received publicity, it can be discussed. This one also received publicity, but in the wrong way, by just broadcasting politics. But if it was just publicity about the evils or the challenges we have in our country, there will be no issue.
Right, and the conversation stretched beyond Thursday. Over the weekend, during a funeral in Nyanza region, President William Ruto and the ODM Secretary General Edwin Sifuna were at it again, and Edwin Sifuna was faulting the people around the president for setting him up. Listen to what the two leaders said.
Wanasema Waswahili, wimbo wa kujidunga hauambiwi pole. Kuna watu kwa serikali yako kazi yao ni kushika handball kila siku. Sasa kama hii drama yote tumeona Nakuru, ati watoto wanakatazwa kufanya mchezo, sijui wanapigwa tear gas, sijui wanafukuzwa. Hiyo ni wimbo wa kujidunga Mheshimiwa Rais. Wale ambao wanahusika na kufanya kazi yako ikiwa ngumu, rinde mnarayo tatu kwa sababu tunajua kazi yako ni ngumu zaidi.
Wakati unaongea mambo yangu Sifuna, ujue mimi ndio mwanzilishi wa ODM. So
unaenda polepole kidogo.
Let us not mix politics with our young children. Tuache watoto wasome. Ukiwa ukitaka siasa, fanya na adults, usiende kwa watoto.
All right. So, Kenyan Echesa, I saw you representing Malala and the play itself. What do you make of what it has become? Because now, there's, if you listen to Edin Sifuna, he's talking about mwibo wa kujidunga, hauna machozi.
Yeah, actually what Sifuna is talking about is right. What the government is doing or what is going through with this play is what Shakespeare would call suffering from deserved misfortune. It is because it was a necessary drama in the first place. I have seen people like Murkomen and the PS flashing out a few circulars and saying that it is illegal for a person who is not trained in drama to train our students. Let us ask ourselves, how many teachers are trained in drama, or how many thespians are trained in this country and attached to schools? Currently in our education setup, we are struggling with a number of teachers to teach the ordinary subjects in the syllabus. Some schools have no teacher, leave alone teachers of drama. Where are we going to place them? Government wants to restrict drama to very few schools that can afford to train their own trained teachers on how to teach drama. And I know that this will come up in this discussion. We must tell Kenyans that in this country, we have a hierarchy of laws. At the apex, we have the Constitution. Then we have the Acts of Parliament. Then we have the substance of common law and doctrines of equity. At position 4, we have the Statutes of General Application in England in force on the 1st of August, 1897, and the African Customary Law. These things, you see people waving at the public that these are secular. Those things have no force of law under Article 2, Sub-Article 4, which says that any document that is inconsistent with the Constitution is void to the extent of the inconsistency. And therefore, we cannot discriminate against 70% of the schools by not letting their children be trained by qualified thespians under the watch of the school administrators in the name of politics. They have raised the issue of taking politics to schools. Every one of us here know that the set books we sat for were more political in nature than the echoes of war. I personally did Kifo Kisimani, which was vilifying one region in this country, saying that the country was developing 7 provinces or 7 regions against one. We never saw Kibaki come out and arrest Kethaka Wamberia, who authored this particular play, Kifo Kisimani. We've seen people like Francis Zimbuga giving us plays like Betrayal in the City, which was a manifestation of the Moi excesses. This is the first time that we are seeing a sitting president deploying all instruments of violence against people for expressing their opinion.
Is there a difference between literature and drama?
Yes, there is a difference between literature and drama. Is that literature is in the book, is on the paper. It is based on the ability of the person reading it to understand. And often, people do not understand if they have no capacity. Drama is acted, and drama is actually literature moved closer to your door.
I'm asking that because Kifo Kisimani, Between the City, those are, they form part of literature studies in school.
Yes.
Drama is something that has come, a script that you're acting. So do those people claiming that there is incitement of the young ones, do they have a point? Because a book has gone through the processes of checking even the quality, a play not necessarily.
They have no point. Why do they have no point? Is that literature is drama not acted. And drama is literature which is acted. When plays are scripted, remember that the National Drama Festivals are organized by the government of Kenya, not the government of Uganda. It is the Kenyan officials from the Ministry of Education who go through these scripts and approve them. I cannot come with any script and it is acted if it does not meet the threshold. So what happens going forward is that the authorities, through the National Intelligence System, get to analyze. And people analyzing may not be trained in drama and literature. So they may not understand. They may quote these plays out of context. And that is what was done with the echoes of war.
So at what point was it analyzed by?
At the regional level, when the regional director of education, Western Western region, Mr. Obiero, sat into the regional drama festivals and in his own assessment thought that this play was political. And by that time, we had competent, trained adjudicators who rated this play highly and said it should proceed to the next level. And the basic question is, why should 4 or 5 adjudicators approve a play and the county, as a regional director of education, after the assessment, says, gentlemen, this play cannot be performed at the gala because it is political? It was a one-person opinion. But the adjudicators, we have the adjudication sheets, which we attached to our application and petition to the court, which have given the play a green light that it is a good play.
Mheshimiwa Sossion, you've been speaking about this. What is your biggest discomfort with how this issue turned out?
Not really discomfort, but how we are getting this episode right. I think we are jumping the gun, and we have discussed the politics of it, the validity of the script itself, and forgot to look at the basic aspects of where it started. The whole of this matter started at the school when the principal wrote to the drama teacher to show cause why the script was changed. I think that is where it started. And it did not stop there. The Board of Management sought to withdraw the play from the festivals. And I think this is more of internal school conflict than even outside. And that opened up quite a number of things. Who is the script writer? It is Cleophas Malala, which is okay. Anybody can write a script and give it to a school. But then, who actually, in terms of the law, I'm talking about the law and procedures and policies. I don't want to dwell on the politics, merits and demerits of other issues. Article 23 of the TSC Act, Part 2, Paragraph 2, says a person shall not engage in the teaching service unless such a person is registered as a teacher under this act. It's very clear. And co-curricular activities is the most emotional aspect of teaching. I'm saying so having been a drama teacher, scriptwriter, and manager of drama as well. So it is not going to, even Kenya National Drama Festival rules doesn't allow non-teachers to direct students. Non-teachers can write scripts. Anybody, Malala can write even scripts for all the schools in Kenya, but he cannot, by law, walk into a school and direct students. This was further enhanced by a circular of 13 June 2018 by the Teacher Service Commission. These are facts of law, and my brother here should be patient about it. And this was never brought even to the attention of the court. In paragraph 2 of the circular, it says, person not registered as teachers, including teachers whose names have been removed from the register of teachers, should not be incorporated in the school programs, including co-curricular activities, to teach, handle, manage, coach, supervise, and or assist in the teaching, handling, managing, coaching, supervision of pupils and learners. I think, Sam, we must come we must accept the fact of the provision of the Law TSC Act, which is flowing from the Constitution of Kenya, part of the implementation of the Constitution of Kenya 2010. And we all participated in drafting this, which has been implemented via circular. And this circular was released by TSC after 9 girls lost their lives at Moi Nairobi Girls. And it was connected to some non-teachers who were involved in entertainment activities within the school. That's a fact of history. I visited the school. So here, we are talking largely about the safety of students. We are talking about the regulations. Are we complying fast before we discuss the literature of it? In fact, when we talk even about the set books are vetted by KICD, and they are controlled and taught in class by professional teachers. So there's nothing harmful. But when you get a politician who is engaged in political wars to impose a script on students and take full control of a school, then it is a tragedy. It goes even against the provisions of Article 23 of the Constitution. Of course, there's freedom of expression, art,
which section are you referring to, TSC Act?
I'm referring to TSC Act Section 23.
That section is misleading, and
it is not misleading.
we must correct
it
the
is
impression.
Clear, and it has been implemented.
That section,
no.
So allow him to finish.
It has been implemented via a circular, and it is clear, and it is implemented within the rules. You've heard the statements of the Cabinet Secretary Interior, Principal Secretary Interior, and the Cabinet Secretary Education. Of course, they don't have the privilege to come and speak here, but of course, we are a country of laws. Nobody can participate. Let me tell you something. The most emotional, and is what you call in child psychology affective domain, where you affect the character of the learner, is the co-curricular activities, and it must be done by the teachers.
Okay.
It is within the Kenya Drama Festival
you're referring
rules.
to Section 23.
So what we are talking here is breach of rules, blatant breach of rules.
Breach of rules, you say. Section 23 of the TSC Act, Commission to register teachers. The Commission shall, in accordance with Article 237 of the Constitution, be responsible for the registration of trained teachers in the teaching service.
Yes.
Subsection 2 says a person shall not engage in the teaching service unless such person is registered as a teacher under this act.
Correct. And the circular of 13th June even clarifies, and I've read paragraph 2.
No, we're reading the act.
There is no clarity.
The act is implemented via circulars.
No.
That circular exists, and it remains valid.
So let me read for you the definition of teaching service that is referred to in Section 23(2). Teaching service means the collectivity of all individuals registered by the Commission and engaged in the teaching profession, whether employed by the Commission or not. And, let me just scroll down, and teaching standards means standards of teaching prescribed by the Commission. So really, it doesn't expressly refer to co-curricular activities.
Just for the benefit of the SG.
Sorry, allow him.
No, it is my turn. You had your
No, it's okay, Mheshimiwa Sossion. Just finish up because we need to circulate the question.
I think it is important you understand, and we all understand, it's very specific. A person shall not engage in the teaching service, unless co-curricular activities is part of teaching. Who said it is not? And in all our schools, there are over 45 co-curricular activities to be undertaken by teachers. You know, all of us have been through schools. And this is the work of teachers. And for sake of clarification of this...
Sossion, the Act itself has defined what teaching service is.
Yes, and paragraph 2 has made it very clear. And even the circular, I've read the circular, you can't. The circular is a living document. It's legal, it is binding,
what takes precedence?
And it is
it
clarified.
the circular or the Act?
Both of them work together.
The
circular is flowing from the Act. And I'm saying so from experience. Because I participated in the drafting of the current TSC Act, and we negotiated every item clause by clause. And this pronouncement has been made. And they are enforced.
I'll come back to you.
We must correct these impressions.
Drama festival rules, for example.
Mheshimiwa Sossion, I'll come back to you. We've just started. Let me hear first from the rest of the panelists. I'll give you a chance, Kennedy Echesa. But Deputy SG and Nthurima, talk to us about teaching service, the place of co-curricular activities, the guidelines that non-teaching staff should not be involved in some of these activities. Okay, what is the issue here?
Sami, teaching service is about impacting knowledge to the learners and changing and impacting on their attitudes. I think what happened in Butere Girls is very unfortunate because in drama, the learners learn and they act. Teachers who are manning subjects in the teaching service always invite resource persons to come and help in understanding of things. What happened in this school in particular is that the principal and the teachers invited a resource person to come and assist in preparations of the drama, which doesn't mean teaching. What our brother is referring to here is hiring of teachers and not necessarily bringing the experts. And in all subjects, teachers invite resource persons to come and assist the learners to get knowledge of those subjects. So the idea of, what happened in Nakuru is very unfortunate because it flies in the face of the freedom of expression, which allows us to receive, impart knowledge.
Yeah.
There is also, it is also very express about freedom of artistics and the creativity as a freedom and as a right. But also, this right does not extend to propaganda for war, incitement of, incitement, hate speech, and vocus of hatred. These things are all in the constitutions.
Right.
So when you look at what the learners were doing in Nakuru, they were not inciting anybody. They were only expressing themselves of the difficulties that our Kenyans are facing in the country. And it was not direct, so that anybody can imagine that the learners were inciting the public. That is what we have done over the years.
Yeah.
So what happened really, Sammy, reminds us of 1980s and 90s. During the days, literature lecturers were being cracked down by the government. And this one should not come back because there is freedom, there is express freedom of expressing yourself, freedom of information.
Right.
It is only limited to some extent, but it does not apply to where the learners who are doing their, expressing their talents and,
So for you and KUPPET, the regulations that he's talking about, or the circular that he's talking about, that a person not registered as teachers, as a teacher, including teachers whose names have been removed from the register, should not be incorporated in the school programs, including co-curricular activities to teach, handle, manage, coach, supervise, and or assist the teaching, handling, managing, coaching, supervision of pupils and learners. What is your reading of that?
I think the Teacher Service Commission is not stopping the schools from hiring resource persons.
Yeah.
They are only telling that, they are only saying that people who are not teachers cannot teach. And if you go to schools today, you'll find that they are employing teachers who who are registered by the Teacher Service Commission.
Yeah.
So that is exactly what they are trying to say. But when it comes to resource persons,
when they say non-teachers should not be incorporated in co-curricular activities, isn't that expressly saying that if you're not a teacher, don't?
Then, if that one is tested against the Constitution, it fails because it is curtailing the freedom of expression and getting information.
Okay. Senator Nyutu, you recently chaired the Education Committee at the Senate. You're also a teacher, aren't you?
Yes, I am.
So, from your experience, what exactly are we supposed to make of this situation with Butere girls?
Thank you, Sam. And allow me to do a background of this particular thing. In that some I read political interference in the whole of it. And why do I say that? I think Echesa here has explained very well, and everybody knows that this play was subjected to adjudication by qualified adjudicators, and that it was, of course, they approved it to be staged at the national level. But then, out of nowhere, the regional director of education discovers that the play should actually not be staged. So I would expect that this particular regional director of education was called from somewhere because there was some political discomfort, of course, generated by this play. And that is why then the regional director started acting. When you think of the principal herself, who sent these girls home, according to reports, just because of this play? After they had practiced and dramatized, and of course it had been staged at even the regional level, what does that tell you? That the principal, of course the principal was not asleep, and then was awoken by some realization that this this play was not good. Of course, somebody must have called the principal and then maybe the regional director. Of course, we suspect that. But just to buttress on the point that my friend Mwalimu from KUPPET says, we know some that in schools, in practice, talk of scouts, for example. Who trains scouts? I mean, I want to buttress the point that it is true that practically there is outsourcing. And outsourcing is something that has been embraced even by companies, that you do not have to have a homegrown resource person, for example, because remember, drama and art is not played the whole year. It is just for some period. And so you would not have to, if you want the best, then you outsource. And that is what Mwalimu is calling resource persons, that you get the resource persons to come and coach the students where necessary. We also have actually people who are examiners. Of course, coincidentally, examiners are also teachers. But schools call teachers from other schools, I mean examiners, to come and coach the students. Why do they do that? Because sometimes they feel they may not have somebody within or amongst the members of staff who can do exemplary well as somebody outsourced from out there. And so unless we want to reinvent the wheel, we know that scouts have been trained, for example, and that's a co-curricular activity by people who are not teachers, but who are very good in that particular area. And so I think those in government and those who support government like the Honorable Sossion, what they should be bold and tell Kenyans is that they were uncomfortable with Malala, not what Malala was doing. I think let them just be bold and say, we were not comfortable with Malala directing the play because Malala does not support the government. We would rather have somebody who supports the government and who, and this has been questioned, why does the government not get uncomfortable when there isn't a piece of drama that praises the regime? Why is it only, uncomfortable when this comes? The other thing that must come up, Sam, is where was intelligence all this time? As this play was being played and directed, dramatized, as it went through this adjudication process at the lower levels, why did they suddenly realize that there was a problem? And why didn't we see Murkomen and Omolo talking about this play ahead of it?
So if they were there at the early stages, what should they do?
No, if they were there in the early stages, then they can convince us that it was about the content of the play that they thought was not very good to be given to the learners. But now, they wake up one day and realize that, hey, this play will be, remember, the president actually, because I've been there, yep. The president, the best schools, the best drama is actually played before the president in a national feat somewhere in the State House. Sometimes, I think in 2023, I attended in Nakuru, in State House Nakuru. And I think they realized that this was going to be something that, of course, is raising issues about the president, and it would be maybe embarrassing for the president to watch it, and they had to intervene. Right. So what we are saying is, let intelligence, let people, let professionals, let every actor, if they believe or they suspect that something is not good for consumption by students or whoever it is, then intervene at the formative stage. Right. Otherwise, these girls would not have gotten frustrated the way they did.
All right. All right. That's an important point you raise, because then it makes you wonder, if the intelligence is to be involved, is there a chance of fairness? Now that it appears there's actually something they can do. We take a short break here. We come back with that. And of course, the bigger question of what should schools do, especially now that we're transitioning to senior school, where 15% of learners are expected to go to arts and sports science. It appears like we don't have the resource power to support this. What shall we do? Stay tuned.